Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is when you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. So I'm not really into celebrity gossip per se, but ever so often something happens in celebrity world that I feel provides a teachable moment. And in this instance, it's what went down with Whoopi Goldberg on her show, The View, because it's reminiscent to just, within the last year, the same kind of thing happened with Nick Cannon on his show. And what both of those examples really bring to the surface is the fact that we as Black people really have to restrain ourselves when it comes to investing in other people's stories, one way or the other. We need to stop grafting ourselves onto these people's stories. Let those people be their people. Let them have their own story. Let them do whatever it is that they're doing, and stay out of their business. Okay? We have our own story, and our own story is complex enough and rich enough and long enough and vast enough for us to focus on it 150%. And so when I look at, Nick Cannon and Whoopi Goldberg, I'm reminded of being a teacher, right? Where, you see a child and they've got this fantastic story that they tell you about how they were wronged or how something was lost or something, and then when you reflect on it and you think, wait a minute, what were you doing there in the first place? Right? Why were you there? Didn't you say this happened at Tuesday, 11 o'clock? You have class at that time. Why weren't you in class? And that's the kind of sentiment that I have for Whoopi Goldberg and Nick Cannon. It's like, you got to evaluate, what are you doing there? What are you doing there? What are you trying to accomplish there? What part of your assignment needs to be carried out there? And are you done? Okay. Don't you have somewhere else to be? And so when I look at it that way, that's the question that I want to pose to you, particularly to my brothers, right? Is, hey, think of all the ways you have to censor yourself in order to entertain white people at your job. Think about all the different ways that you have to, twist and contort your ideas and your expression just to be, agreeable enough to white people at your job, your clients, your customers, your coworkers, your boss, the secretary, whatever. Think about all the different ways that you have to prepare yourself and all the different things you got to do throughout the day and the week and the month just to be there. Never mind just doing your job, just to be palatable. What are all the things that you got to do? What if you were putting all of that energy into creating your own space? What if you were devoting all of your natural gifts and talents to running your own business? Okay, even if you run it out of your house. What would it take? And do you have that capacity to just stop being in places where you may not be wanted, where you may not be respected, and where everything that you do, you're constantly being, reprimanded and reminded of your special status or lack thereof? What would it take? What would it take? And is it worth it for you to once and for all create your own space, create your own resources, use your natural gifts and talents in a way that serves you and solves other Black people's problems? In an even better case, right? At the very least, if you run your own business, you solve your own problems. You solve the problems of your family on your own terms. But even better than that would be if your business was dedicated to solving the myriad of problems that our people are facing on a day-to-day basis across the country and around the world? Right? What would it take? Are you willing to look at the writing on the wall and put yourself into a position where you can make white people's opinions and their fragility and their concerns and their fears and their anxieties, you can make all of that irrelevant? Imagine that, right? And if you run a business, of course, this is not a space for you to just be a fool. It's not a space for you to just be mean-spirited. It's not a space for you to just be, getting your way. You got to run business. It means you got to meet bottom lines. You have to be efficient. You got to be, better than the competition and all of that. So I'm talking about being a professional, just like you are at your job. This is particularly pertinent to my brothers, my six-figure brothers, right? What if you took all of that talent and all that network that you have, all that training that you have, and you really dedicated it to something that creates space for you where you are free, relatively free of the scrutinizing eye of anxious, nervous, bristly, fearful white people? So that's what I want you to consider. I want you to give that some real thought, and wherever you see it possible, start putting things into place to make it happen. I'm going to leave you with an example that I just saw of Jeff Bezos, which is probably Bezos or something like that. But Jeff Bezos was just telling a story about starting Amazon and how he was working in some corporation, and he went to his boss and was telling his boss about this idea for Amazon. And his boss listened to the idea, and his boss was like, yeah, you know what? That's actually a good idea. You're onto something. But that would be a better idea for somebody who doesn't already have a good job, right? And so the idea that you have a good job and you're comfortable and you're secure is enough to lull you asleep. But what if the idea that you've got incubating in your mind is the game changer? What if the thing that you are contemplating is the thing that will not only liberate you and future generations, but change the whole game of your industry? And the only way you're going to really put that to work is if you get out of the constraints that are set by your job, right? So have at it. I'd love to hear your comments. What is it that holds you back? And what is it that supports you being able to just get off that plantation once and for all? I look forward to hearing from you.